Why did Ichigo not use his true Bankai in his second round fight against Yhwach? Now, as we all know, Ichigo and Yhwach had just recently had a rematch for their second time in Course 3 of Thousand Year Blood War. And one question I've been constantly seeing is, why did Ichigo not activate his true Bankai in this second round fight? Now, Ichigo, ever since unlocking his true Shikai form, has not once activated his Bankai yet. Which is really strange for a lot of people because Ichigo is quite prominently known as a Bankai spammer. I mean, throughout the entire series, Ichigo is just constantly spamming his Bankai non-stop in every single fight. And in a moment like this where he's fighting against Yhwach, this would seem like the ideal moment for him to activate his Bankai and potentially take Yhwach out. However, first we need to understand why Ichigo actually quote-unquote spams his Bankai throughout the entire Bleach series. Now, people often place Ichigo under the category of Bankai spammer along with characters like Toshiro, Byakuya, and Renji. However, Ichigo does not fit into this category the same way they do. The reason for this is because this was never Ichigo's true Bankai. This was just a manifestation of his Quincy powers given to him by Old Man Zangetsu while he was suppressing his actual Soul Reaper powers. And also, the only thing this Bankai gave to Ichigo was a stat boost in speed, which is supposed to be something a Bankai already gives you. So essentially, his Bankai wasn't giving him an extra ability like most people's Bankai were. Meaning that even when Ichigo activated his Bankai, he was still at a disadvantage against his opponent because his Bankai was not a normal Bankai. He was not getting the stat boosts and abilities that he was supposed to be getting. When it comes to true Shikai Ichigo, however, we know that this version of Ichigo in base form is already on the same level as Mugetsu/Dangai Ichigo because of Yhwach's statements in the manga. So constantly being as powerful as he was in his Dangai form, it makes complete sense as to why he's no longer a Bankai spammer. However, a lot of people would still feel like the smart choice is still using your true Bankai against Yhwach in this scenario, whether or not you're a Bankai spammer. There are definitely still a few explanations as to why Ichigo did not use it in this moment. One explanation could be that Ichigo's true Bankai is so powerful that he can only use it in specific moments and he cannot spam it like his regular Bankai. This would make sense because in the manga, when Ichigo does use his true Bankai, Yhwach was so afraid of it, he had to look into the future and break it because of its power. However, another reason, and one that I think to be more likely, is that Ichigo's true Bankai has conditions set on it for him to be able to activate it. My theory behind it is that Ichigo has to be able to activate each one of his races before using his true Bankai. In the manga, Ichigo was only able to activate his true Bankai after activating Horn of Salvation, which was him manifesting his hollow powers. And obviously in this moment, Ichigo was only fighting using his base Soul Reaper powers. And given how powerful this Bankai is, it would only make sense to put some sort of limitation onto it or some sort of criteria Ichigo has to meet in order to activate it. Also, if you recall, Ichigo was actually winning this fight before Yhwach ended up activating his Almighty. So, before Yhwach activated his Almighty, Ichigo probably saw no need to actually use his Bankai because he wasn't having much trouble dealing with Yhwach. And then after Yhwach activated his Almighty, it would have been a really risky play for Ichigo to use his true Bankai since he has no idea why Yhwach gained such an increase in power. But yeah, there are a lot of good reasons you can come up with as to why Ichigo did not use his true Bankai. Personally, again, I believe that Ichigo has to meet some sort of criteria before using it, but I'm sure whatever the explanation is, we're gonna get it in the Thousand Year Blood War anime because Kubo is adding in a lot more details into the anime that he could not add into the manga.